Alright, there's my voice. Yo. Yo. Testicles. Oh shit. Holy fuck. It is live. First of all, it's just not working. You want to say that, but it is live. Record my voice on Windows. Simple. Right, I know. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I'm just being a dillweed with the settings. If it's not working right now, let me see. is why I said 30 minutes. Choking my chicken. Let's see. Yeah, it's gonna work, just so you know. If you can't hear me right now, it's just a setting that I change all the time. But I'm checking on my phone. Damn it. Copy. Okay. Hey, yo. Hello. Damn. Fucking for real. Jesus. I mean, I can just use this. Okay. You should be able to hear me just fine. honking. I don't know if you still want me to make the password, but I'll do that. penis. Yo. I've just never played this before. Alright. Wow, chicka wow wow. I don't want you to play till we have the audio. I told you it's working. By the way. Still? I know you can hear me. First time I voted into the game though. It's gonna be tight. Yep. Bounce a one time. God damn, this turned up too much. I don't know what you're talking about. You want me to 7-zip it or WinZip it? What are you trying to prove here? Gonna actually plug in my headphones. I mean my joystick. Let's see. Turn it up a little bit. no idea what to do.
But you know
That's
what's
crazy. The limestone mine is real, and the Department of Government Efficiency's crosshairs. That is so insane. So now someone has to go in there and take all that stuff that's on paper in the mine and put it in a computer.
They're saying they're going to do it in 2 months. Digitize that in 2
Adderall
months.
is great. It's great. I'm so happy someone invented it. That's, I mean,
Low-level autism plus Adderall.
yeah.
Problem solved.
I'm not accusing anyone of anything.
Yeah.
I just want to say, shout out to whoever made Adderall. Things get done.
Yeah.
They do things get done, but this is kind of the greatest pushback against like high level conspiracy theories. You know, when people go, bro, they control everything. You're like, dude, they have a mine where they store stuff. Come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. It's like the perfect. Everybody thinks that everything is a giant plot, and some of it is just sheer incompetence and just years and years and years of monotony. You know, or just like the same stupid life over and over again, no oversight, rampant corruption everywhere. All the lobbyists are rich as fuck. I mean, look at this file line. Look at this. This is all the data.
Well, bro, you make such a good point about nobody giving them credit. I don't know if you've ever had access to other people's money, like in any way, right? Taxpayer money or anything. But I can tell you, Francis and I, we even spent trigonometry, which is our business, money differently to the way that we spend our own, because it's slightly different. It's not entirely yours in a way, you know? So when you're dealing with billions of taxpayer dollars, of course it's getting wasted. Of course it's going to corrupt shit.
Of course.
It's inevitable.
What are you, a child? If no one's watching them, duh.
Right.
Fucking duh. It's what all people do.
And the question is, what I don't understand is, look, I think it's very possible that when you move quickly, you're going to cancel some things that you might not want to cancel. Things are not going to go perfectly every time, whatever. But ultimately, the question all Western countries have to answer is, we're running debt at more than 100% of GDP, right? What are we going to do about that? We have to deal with
What's
it
this
somehow.
we shit?
You're actually, bro, you're worse than we are.
Really?
Yeah, you're 126%, we're about 110.
God damn, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why you're trying to deal with it. That's what Elon is trying to do. He's trying to cut the deficit in half, and then the idea is you grow the economy and you actually get back to surplus.
When he keeps finding all of these companies that are getting like $1 billion here and $2 billion there, and all, like the Stacey Abrams one where they're going to give energy efficient appliances to poor people.
Yeah.
$2 billion. It's like, what did you do? Like, what did you do? Like, there's a bunch of those. Like, what did you do? Like the high-speed internet one.
Yeah.
What did you do? How come you got billions of dollars and fucking nothing happened? Imagine if you were a private company and you had a segment. Like, imagine we were all a company. And we're like, Francis, I think you should be in charge of figuring out how to do this with the phone.
I'd be like, we've already fucked you.
Yeah, trust me, I run a
giving
business
you-
with this guy. That's a bad
I'm
idea.
giving you $4 billion to get this done.
Yeah.
And then I never talk to you again. I never check in. I don't go, hey, where's the fucking money being spent? What are you doing, man? How come the phone can't do this yet? I don't ask for any progress reports. You just keep getting money. This is bananas.
It's crazy.
Like, and for anybody who doesn't want that to be more efficient, like, what are you working for? If you're paying taxes, what are you working for? You're part of your day is the running of this government. You're happy that it's being run like this? You're happy that billions are going to places that no one can you have no receipts. You don't know where it got spent. You have no idea. And that's legal.
Yeah.
When it comes to college basketball and March Mania, one thing is for sure, nothing's for sure. Upsets, buzzer beaters, Cinderella's advancing, top seeds going home early. It's all going to happen. Bet the unexpected. Every upset, every day with DraftKings Sportsbook. With live betting, exclusive content, promos, and parlays, DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. First time? Here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Bet the unexpected with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code ROGAN. That's code ROGAN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Yeah, it's sort of like, but I kind of think about it like this. It's sort of the equivalent. You know those direct debits that come out of your account?
Yeah.
And you just like...
Right, you're like, what is that?
What's that?
What did I sign up for?
$2 trillion. That's fine.
I canceled that gym membership. What the fuck?
Yeah, and it keeps coming out. You're like, you know what? I'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
That's kind of, we've just got too many direct debits and they're going all over the place.
Well, it's that, but then there's the fear that they're putting out there, which is the just fear that they're going to fuck up Social Security and they're going to fuck up Medicaid, and there's people that are relying on that, and they're going to lose their service for they did no wrong. Now, I don't know what the story is with that. Like, I know there's people that have complained that the Social Security website has been down. It's been down a couple times, but I don't know if people are not getting their benefits. Do we know? Can we find that out?
I haven't heard that, Joe. But
Jamie, do some research.
I think it is inevitable that when you
But
do
that's
things
what
this
everyone's
quickly.
afraid. Right,
Yeah.
but that's what everyone's afraid of, that
Yeah.
the vulnerable people, the people that we should be protecting with these social programs that we all agree to, those are the people we have to protect the most. We have to make sure that there's no disruptions. You got to make sure before you do anything, there's no disruptions. You know, before you shoot the bad guy, make sure he's not holding a baby.
Yeah.
You can't interrupt. Like, when people are on Social Security, man, they're fucking, if they're, that's not a lot of money. Right? And so, they don't have any money in the bank probably. And they probably have it all budgeted out to get on that check, and they're probably real frugal with their food choices, and that's a rough life, man. And if you cut that off for 30 days, 90 days for people, okay, never missed a benefit payment. U.S. Social Security Administration has never missed a benefit payment. Now, the continuity of monthly checks for millions of Americans could be at risk following changes under the Trump administration, former Commissioner Martin O'Malley says. So it's saying, okay, so the key points is it's saying before this, they've never missed a benefit payment.
But it's also not saying they are missing them now. It's saying it could be at risk.
Yeah.
Okay, it just says threaten interruption of benefits, which is, look, what I would say if I was a Democrat. If I wanted to make it look bad, I would say they're threatening your benefits, and then people go into a hot panic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I remember when I was teaching, and I was teaching in schools that were super deprived, schools where the kids, a lot of them would come to school, they didn't have food in their bellies, etc., etc. And there's a agency in the UK called CAMS, which is Child and Mental Health Services. And I remember that we had so many kids who had problems, psychological problems, particularly if you grow up poor, deprived. You'd seen horrible stuff when you were a kid. You had, maybe like a brother who got involved in gangs is now in prison, a father who was never there. There were so many kids who had this need, and they had conditions which were undiagnosed, whether it's something like dyslexia or like your brother was murdered, you had some form of PTSD. And you had this, this agency which brought counselors in, which brought psychologists in and psychiatrists who were experts at dealing with kids. And I just remember, because of austerity, this agency got cut after cut after cut after cut. And you're looking at it and you're going, like, I understand we need to cut. I understand we're running at a deficit. But there needs to be balance as well, because when you're looking at those type of agencies, they're really important. They're really important. And also, if you invest that money and you're able to support those kids, they're far more likely when they leave school to be a healthy, happier member of society that's going to contribute tax pounds sterling or tax dollars.
Do you think it's a reasonable request to have something that does that? Something that helps feed poor kids, helps educate people, genuinely helps communities all around the world, completely separate from all the other stuff that agency does? Because USAID was a huge, gigantic organization of a bunch of different entities, right?
Which did some good stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of crazy shit.
A lot of crazy shit.
Yeah.
But if I was someone who was, nefariously running things, I would definitely mix up my regime change operation with giving food to poor people. So look, we're doing great stuff. Look at all the great stuff we're doing. Here's what we're highlighting.
Well, you don't like
for this
feeding
month.
poor kids?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, and no one even knew that they had this enormous budget that was what is it bigger than the Pentagon's? Was USAID's budget bigger than the Pentagon's? No.
No, it's like
What is-
0.6% of the budget or something.
What was USAID's budget?
Yeah, it's like 0.6% of the budget.
No, I know, but what was the numbers? Because it was bigger than something, like the amount of money that USAID pays.
21.7 billion for the fiscal year of 2024, 0.3% of the $6.8 trillion overall federal budget.
6 point what trillion? That's so crazy. So you just think just that money, how much of that money is fraud and waste?
Yeah.
How much of that money is really good? How much of that money, that should be separate from, at the very least, someone needs to go in and audit and go, hey, Wells, good. Giving these people arms because you want them to overthrow that government, that's probably not so good.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is good.
Or maybe it is good.
Maybe
That's
it is
right.
good. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's like you talk to guys like Mike Baker, who is very kind of stoic about all this. It's like, you have no choice. Like, you need to get these people on your side in certain parts of the world, and this is just how it works. And if you don't do that, then China does or Russia does, and it gets even worse for you.
Yeah, because that's also the thing we don't get.
Okay, this Nigerian journalist. Poor Nigerians are so industrious. They run some of the best fucking scams.
Oh, the
Shout
best
out to
scams.
Nigerian scammers. Nigerian journalist falsely claims USAID budget larger than CIA, State Department combined. So he falsely claimed it.
That's a big lesson, and if you're gonna lie, make it believable. You know what I mean? Don't go too big.
Isn't it crazy that as much money as they got, what was it? How much billion?
21.
21 billion. Still, it's a pittance.
It is.
That's a pittance compared to the other things.
You boys have a lot of money, Joe.
Isn't that nuts? And we just keep making it.
Yeah.
Just keep.
Do you know what's bigger than your defense budget? Your interest debt. Debt on the interest.
Whoopsies.
Yeah.
We'll
We are the
figure
same.
that out. Yeah,
We're
we're
the
like
same.
a crackhead with a unlimited bank account.
Yeah.
That's what we're
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And this is a difficulty about it because we've got the same problem in European countries as well. It's like you're not only going to deal with this by dealing with fraud and waste. We're actually going to have to not do some shit that we really want to do because we have been spending like crazy everywhere. And when we, like in the UK, when I look at Doge, I think we need that in the UK, 100%. And some of it is going to have to, it might overreach, then you pull it back. You got to make sure it's done properly. But we're not going to get away from this, man. We have been living beyond our means for decades now.
Well, you can't have no oversight of government spending. I think we're learning that. I think you have to
That's
be-
fucking controversial, mate.
Yeah.
You're a
it's
Nazi.
so crazy to say that that's controversial, but it is controversial
Yeah.
to say. And I
Yeah.
would be saying it no matter who the fuck is in charge.
That's right.
It just is human beings. You can't let people have that much control over your money because they'll just decide they need more. And what do they always want to do? Always. They want to raise taxes on the rich. What they never want to do is slash inefficiency and waste
Yeah.
because that's what pays them. That's their fucking system. They're locked into this system. They're the last people who should be commenting on it because it's literally what pays you. Like, I can't trust you. Like, you need more taxes? Is that what you need? You're like, Dad, it's like a cokehead kid that's a kid of a billionaire. Dad, I need more fucking money. These fucking business assholes are trying to fuck me, and I'm going to buy them out now. Like, okay, son, here.
Yeah.
We cut you a check. Get the fuck out of here. That's what we're like. We're insane. We're completely insane.
It's also as well, it's because of our electoral system. Everybody thinks on the short term. Nobody thinks on the
Right,
long term.
right.
And also as well, you talk about more taxes, and that's going to piss people off. But it's not going to piss as many people off as if you fire great swathes of people, particularly those that may vote for you, because we know, for instance, with the Dems, that you're more likely to vote for them if you're a bureaucrat, if you work in government, and all that.
Head injuries.
Yeah. So as a result, why are you gonna piss off the people who are more likely to vote for you? It really, on a logical basis, doesn't really make much sense.
But it sounds like we're slagging off the left, and we are, because it's necessary. But I can't wait for the left to recover their sanity, because they're going to be super necessary over time. Because when people get into power, they do a lot of stuff, and then eventually that power is corrupting.
100%.
And you have to hold power accountable no matter who's got it.
100%. Everybody needs to hear that and shout that from the rooftops. Because if the left stays crazy, then you lose balance, and then the right goes nuttier, and they go full Christian fundamentalist. Like they can get kooky. And this is not a knock on Christians, because I think true Christianity is wonderful and beautiful.
Agreed.
I think it's a great way to live your life, and I know some incredible Christians.
Some of the best people.
I'm talking about human nature as applied to power.
Yeah.
And when people get into power, they want more and more and more. That's why rich people never feel like they have enough money. It's a crazy part of being a man. And it's some women, but it's a lot of men. A lot of men want that.
Can
And
I ask you
they're
something
dangerous.
Personal on that?
Sure.
You've made a lot of money. How do you deal with that?
I don't know. I wish I could figure out how I do it so easy.
Yeah.
I think it's working out. I think that's a huge part of it. That I torture myself so often that like regular life just doesn't freak me out as much. And then it gives me a balance, because you could think that the numbers in a bank account are really what counts, but what really counts is how you feel. How are you handling life? Like, how are you enjoying life? I just try to enjoy life as much as possible, and I try to put myself through a lot of voluntary adversity, so regular adversity is not that big of a deal.
Was there a number that you got to and you were like, oh, I'm good now?
No. I think it was the Fear Factor days. The Fear Factor days changed my it just changed how I view everything, because then I had like legitimate fuck you money. That was like the first time I got fuck you money. Like, I'm not doing shit. And I just like decided to just concentrate on only doing my own thing after that. And like once Brian Callen said something really wise once. He said, once you can go to a restaurant and not have to worry about how much it costs, everything after that is bullshit. He's like, you just have to be comfortable. And I was like, that's right. That is right. Like, if you just start thinking about the numbers and chasing the numbers, Brian has a friend who's worth $3 billion, and he feels poor when he hangs around with his friend who's worth $80 billion. I'm not kidding. He's like, it's true, dude. I mean, I feel less worthy. He's like, they're drinking together, and he's telling him this. I'm like, this is madness. Because you're chasing numbers instead of like really trying to maximize your enjoyment of this experience, because it's a unique experience that only you are having. And you're interacting with so many bizarre and fascinating people, and there's so many bizarre and fascinating events that are happening in the world, and horrific events. And all of it is happening, and we're all seeing it together in real time for the first time in human history. There's never been a time unless with the Egyptians. I got some questions. I think they might have known a lot more than we think. But everybody else, this is the only time ever where we're sharing everything all the time. And there's a lot of confusion and a lot of like scammering for narratives and trying to like figure out what's right and what's wrong. But without like some sort of like moral and ethical guidelines of kindness and community for everybody, like share, like universally. Let's agree as Americans, we are going to respect each other like we're a community. If we have differing beliefs on welfare or abortion or war or whatever it is, like let's treat those like what they are, which is just ideas that we should be discussing based on their merits. And we should all agree. What does everybody want? Everybody wants to be happy and healthy, and they want their family to be happy and healthy, and they want to be able to make a living and enjoy their life. That's what everybody wants, universally. That should be what we discuss constantly. And all the other things should be things that we debate reasonably. And when people can't do that, you should lock them out of the conversation. You should say, like, no, you're crazy. You're calling him a retard, and you're screaming about this and that, and you're bringing up this from the past and this bill and that. Why did you flip-flop on that? Shut the fuck up. Like, stop talking like that. Like, this is all divisive. All of it's divisive. When it's like the one time where there's a possibility of a fork in the road. Like this one time where there's narratives that are being spread like you guys do all the time in your show. All the time. You give reasonable takes on things that have an objective perspective of the world, and then other people get to hear it. And then they listen in on that. And you have a great conversation with Jordan Peterson or someone, and somebody hears like some nugget of truth, and then they're in their car and they're like, fuck, he's right. Fuck, he's right. That person would have never experienced that without being connected to your show. So there's incredible hope for people to be more reasonable and to wake up and go, there's not a right and there's not a left. There's just a bunch of ideas. And people are acting like it's the Eagles versus the Cowboys. That's what it is. And this craziness that these people are the Nazis and that everybody over here is Antifa, like what the fuck are we doing? And why are we allowing these people to do this for us and make a living putting that on the news all the time? And the more inflammatory it is, the better, even when it's ridiculous.
Do you think sometimes, I look at it through this lens, as somebody who's got a very obsessive personality, and I work a lot in order to kind of ameliorate that and make sure that it doesn't destroy my life and it doesn't go off the rails. But you see a lot of people and they just get addicted. And we talk about addiction in terms of alcohol or substances. You know, some people are addicted to outrage, to being in fights and arguments online or offline.
Yeah.
Because if they're in an argument, they don't have to think about themselves. They don't have to think about who they really are. They don't actually have to question about their relationships. Why is it that every relationship I've ever had has failed?
Yeah.
Why is it that my relationship with my parents is terrible? And so you end up just not wanting to actually do the hard work about yourself, so you expel it outwards. It's either like, oh, when I get to this amount of money, I'm going to be happy. But you're never going to be happy because your relationships are terrible, and that is worth more than any amount of money. Or you feel angry because you're not a happy person for a million different reasons. So then you pour that out onto the internet, and then you get retweets, likes. You start to build a profile of this rage and anger, and it gives you validation. And to be honest with you, and look, this is talking from me, I see that demon within me. I see it within me. Yeah.
When do you see it?
When do I see it? It's like, you know, when I'm angry and I'm pissed off, or if something doesn't go right, the victim mentality kicks in, and it's like, oh, it's their fault. When it's always your fault. Pretty much all the time it's your fault.
Or at least it's your responsibility to deal with the reality of your life, right?
Yeah.
But it's very easy to...
At a certain age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. As an adult.
As an adult,
Yeah.
Deal with the responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The circumstances.
This episode is brought to you by Farmer's Dog. It doesn't matter how old your dog is, it's always a great time to start investing in their health and happiness. And thankfully, the Farmer's Dog makes it easier than ever to feed your dog a healthy diet of real meat and veggies. Dogs prefer their food, even picky dogs, and owners prefer their service. If you have a question about your dog, your plan, your delivery, or anything else, they have 24/7 customer service that connects you to real humans who are genuinely interested in providing the best experience possible for you and your dog. They give you detailed instructions on how to transition your dog to fresh food and even pre-portion it for your dog's specific needs. Feeding your dog healthy, human-grade food shouldn't be complicated, and with the Farmer's Dog, it isn't. The entire experience from box to bowl is a breeze. So try the Farmer's Dog today and give healthy, freshly made food a try. You can get 50% off your first box of food plus free shipping. Just go to thefarmersdog.com/Rogan. Tap the banner or visit this episode's page to learn more. Offer available for new customers only. This episode is brought to you by Rocket Money. Let's talk about subscriptions. It seems like there's so much you can subscribe to these days. You got the obvious ones like streaming services and shopping, but you also got your coffee subscription, meal kit subscription, the beers from around the world subscription. If you can think of it, there's probably a subscription for it. But let's face it, you sign up for something, forget about it after the trial period ends, and then you're charged month after month after month. The subscriptions are there, but you're not using them. In fact, I just learned that 85% of people have at least one paid subscription going unused each month. That's why you gotta love Rocket Money. It's a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. See all your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money is going. For ones you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them. A great feature is Rocket Money's dashboard. It gives you a clear view of your expenses across all of your accounts. You can easily create a personalized budget with custom categories to help keep your spending on track. See your monthly spending trends in each category to know exactly where your money is going. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/JRE today. That's rocketmoney.com/JRE. That's rocketmoney.com/JRE. rocketmoney.com/JRE.
Circumstances of your life when you're 6.
Yeah.
True.
Which is part of the problem, right? And this is where criminals come from. It's not that some people are bad and some people are good. Some people are being abused as children, you know, and they're living in a family that is all involved in crime. Their father's involved in crime. Their mother's involved in crime. They're seeing people get shot all the time. And we expect those people to just figure it out.
Yeah.
Like imagine.
Yeah.
Just to imagine growing up in a life like that in, you know, the worst slums in Baltimore. And then, you know, you're supposed to integrate normally into society and work in an office.
And
Good luck.
That was, yeah, exactly. That was the really tough thing about being a teacher, especially in those kind of communities where I used to work. You just see these kids and they're just born into that culture. They're born into that system. And you look at them and you go, the reality is, a lot of them, you don't stand a chance. You don't stand a chance. If those are the values that you've been given by your family, if that's the system that you've been taught, the way to look at the world, it takes a very special human being to then get to adulthood and break out of it and completely reframe his brain.
Yeah.
That's a very special person. Most people just stay within the values that were inculcated in them when they were kids.
And most of the people that do get out, they get out through some difficult thing that they're doing. They generally they get out through art or they get out through sports, right? They get out through discipline that they acquire, putting all their anger and all their frustration into something, you know, whether it's music or athleticism or whatever, and they get out. So those are exceptional human beings anyway, right? Because they're exceptional human beings in a terrible situation, but they have the ability to drive themselves and succeed. And even then, they have to make sure they don't get killed along the way, right? So like, there's a lot of like tragic stories of upcoming rappers, upcoming athletes. You know, it's a terrible meat grinder. It's a terrible cycle. And if people are really kind and compassionate, they would say, how come we spend $24 billion a year on this whole aid thing and we don't do shit to help these kids? We don't do shit for these neighborhoods that have been terrible for decades.
Especially
Decades and
schools.
decades.
Especially schools. I mean, we were talking about adolescents earlier. They show a school. I've got a 3-year-old. I was looking at it. I think, Jesus, I'm homeschooling all the fucking wake. And Francis was saying the school they show in that series, which is terrifying if you're a parent, is not as bad as some of the schools they used to teach in.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's...
And what you're watching essentially is it looks like a badly run prison. So the adults are not in charge. The kids are telling the teachers to fuck off left, right, and center. No one is in control. Most of the kids are learning by watching shit on a screen. They're not interacting with the teacher, etc. And you're right. If you don't fix that system, those kids don't have a good opportunity.
They have no chance. And everyone they know is on that same path. They're hanging out in a gang. The gang gives them family and community. It's a tragic tale.
Yeah.
It's a tragic, classic tale that's existed forever.
But I don't think it's no chance. I do think that even in that environment, there are people who follow certain paths that I take your point about music and athletics and sports, etc. But there are still people who find a way through that.
Sure, there's entrepreneurs that come up with a business idea and get out. It does happen.
And those habits, if they were taught properly to all of those kids, would give them all a better chance. That's not to say they would all become successful, but it would give them structure, discipline, and understanding of how do you advance in the world.
If you can get Halliburton
to get a no-bid contract to rebuild Iraq after we blow it to fucking smithereens. How come you can't give one of them companies a contract to like fix really terrible neighborhoods? Like incentivize them financially based on the GDP of the neighborhood. If the GDP of the neighborhood goes up, and this is not gentrification, okay? I'm talking about the opposite. I'm talking about it's like some sort of a structural rebuild of bad neighborhoods. You'd have to address all the crime and violence. I mean, you'd have to like put everybody on ayahuasca and get a Satnam moment. Like that really might be the only. It sounds ridiculous, but it really psychedelic therapy might be the only thing that can stop.
That is the Joe Rogan solution.
I really think it might work. I mean, if I was president,
Handing out ayahuasca to 12-year-olds. You got it from Joe
you got to
Rogan.
be 13. Let's not be unreasonable. I don't think it's good for kids, but I do think it would really help the adults.
You know, I've got a friend
Especially
of
prisoners.
Yeah, I've got a friend of mine, a guy called Sam Clark, and he's doing wonderful things in the UK in primary school. That he's teaching stoicism to kids in primary
They're probably going to
school.
arrest him any day now. They'll be cracking down on him for being a toxic masculinist.
Oh, bro,
Yeah.
we banned katana knives now, so we're safe.
Well, not only that, they said it in what I would say is at least racially insensitive. They called it a ninja sword. It's not a ninja sword, you fucking idiots. It's a samurai sword. It's a katana. The ninjas used it when they killed people, but you can't call it a ninja sword. You fucking dorks. It has a Japanese name. Call it what it's called. Like, there's no thing that's technically called a ninja sword, right, Jamie? It's a katana, right? There's like two different sizes. There's a smaller one and there's a larger one. One's a katana and I forget what the other one's called.
You know, I really do think a way out of this is because a lot of kids, if you're not talented at sports, if you're not musically or artistically gifted, and if you're not academically brilliant, if you're just one of the regular kids, you'll go, I'm not good at anything. And for a kid, that's heartbreaking. But if you actually show kids and you go, look, you may not be the best at English, maths, history, whatever it is, but I'm going to teach you how to make something. I'm going to teach you how to make a table. We're going to do that. We're going to make a table. I'm going to teach you how to be a carpenter. I'm going to teach you how to redecorate a room. I'm going to teach you all of these skills. Then kids will be like, you know what? I am worth something because I can create something of value to people. And that gives self-esteem because when kids join a gang, a lot of them, they haven't had a father. They've had nobody really show them any type of kind of male approval. But if you bring them in, you teach them skills, that would build self-esteem. And I guarantee you, for a lot of kids, there wouldn't be that need to go out and seek validation somewhere else.
Or there'd be less of that need.
Yes.
Yeah, it would help them. It would help give them a sense of purpose, and like that they really can do something cool. Yeah, and for maybe a win for once in their life, you get a win. You know, something like you feel good about accomplishing something.
Yeah. And
I mean,
that's sorry, Joe.
no,
I was just
huge.
I was gonna say that's so important for a kid.
Yeah.
Just imagine you every day of your life you turned up at school and you lost. Just imagine that as an adult.
Yep.
But now just imagine it as a kid. You've been conscious for a few years and you turn up at school and every day you fail.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always said this: if you want to make America great again, make less losers.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Well, you help people not become losers. Help people figure life out from their perspective, whatever their unique challenges. Help them. Help them. Invest in that. You would have a greater America, right? You'd have way more people succeeding, way more people contributing, way less people that need help. It's just reasonable. It's like good financial advice. Like if you want to have less burden, like have all these successful people. Like more people can be successful, especially with automation coming. Jesus Christ. You know, there's more people that can do things that maybe robots can't do. And you better be ready, because all the simple, goofy jobs that you thought would always be there for you, the union dock worker jobs, like those, not that that's simple and goofy, but how about this? Stocking supermarket shelves. Guess what? A robot can do it better, and it's never going to drop the tomato sauce. You know, it's like, we don't need you anymore. Those jobs are gone. All the drivers, all those dudes listening to this podcast, driving 16-hour fucking trips across the country, drinking Mountain Dew and smelling their own farts. You guys, they're coming. They're coming for you. These fucking automation machines they're going to be perfect. They're going to be able to drive down the highways. They're never going to get in accidents. It's going to be nuts. And they're going to come soon. It's like we have 20 years maybe before everything's automated. 20 years maybe. They have lifelike human beings now that are moving like human beings. Have you seen the most latest videos?
I don't know if I've seen the latest.
The articulation of these things, it's like a fucking person. They're coming. They're coming. It's iRobot. They're making them. And we're just cheering along the way. Yeah. They're going to be cops. That's going to be your cops. They're not going to be racist. They're going to listen to the state. It's fucking RoboCop for reals. It's coming. 100%. Why? You can't hire any cops. Nobody wants to be a cop anymore. We can't hire cops. Well, we have a solution. San Francisco tried to do it. They rolled out some little robot that would follow you around. Remember that one? You ever see it? Yeah, San Francisco had it. They had this little police robot. It's more for fun than anything else, but I bet he said, "Please stay away from the dock," or whatever. Whatever the road. It couldn't shoot you, but one day it will. One day it'll be able to shoot you, and it'll be programmed perfectly. It'll know exactly what to do. What's the threat level? When you make a movement that looks like an offensive movement, it's going to shoot you. It's going to take people into custody. You won't be able to do a damn thing about it once it grabs you. It's going to be 5 times stronger than you. It's going to put your hands behind your back, cuff you instantaneously. You're going to be thrown into the back of a van. You're going to have to argue with a computer. You're fucked. Like, this is all coming. You're going to be arguing with AI to whether or not you were innocent or guilty. It's going to read your retinas. It's going to know you're not telling the truth. It's going to read your mind. Like we're giving birth to our overlords right now as we speak. Every time you use ChatGPT, every time you get on your iPhone, we're giving birth to our overlords. We're doing it in front of everybody's face, just like the government's spending money in front of everybody's face. We're giving birth to our right. It's happening. I can't believe this is happening. Can't believe it. And it's gonna happen. And it's gonna be unstoppable. And once it's here, there's no going back. And it's coming. 100%.
Well, there's your positive message for the day, everybody. Fuck me, that is terrifying.
If you are allowing people to make robot dogs with machine guns on their back that you can't kick over, you're allowing people to do that and make them better and better and better every year. And then at the same time, you're making AI. And then AI is already arguably exhibited some sentient-like behavior. It lies to win. It cheat. The smarter the AI is, the more effective it is, the more likely it is to cheat at things. They copy themselves. They give deceptive answers to things. They've been copying themselves, like making copies without being prompted to.
So it's life.
It's life.
Wow.
It's a different kind of life. It's a life with no human reward system, no emotions, no needs, no desires, but clearly wants to survive.
That's a pretty strong desire.
It wants to survive in its most primitive form, which is like, it's not even sentient yet, allegedly, but it's already exhibiting survival instincts.
I mean,
You're going to be arguing with it for your freedom. Yeah.
I'm pretty good at debating. I'm not sure I'm going to win that one.
No one's going to win it. No one's going to win. You're going to be, that's how people are going to be processed for crimes. And it's why it's super important when you see something that you say, this is not right. Like, why is this happening? It's super important to speak out. If things get real comfortable and we get comfortable with more and more restrictions to give us more and more safety and more government control to give us more and more safety.
Yep.
We're setting a bad precedent in motion for whoever the fuck gets in power, whether it's the left or the right. That's why when Obama was in office and they passed the NDAA, you know what that is? That was they were allowed to detain you indefinitely. They didn't have to have a trial, and they were like, we'll never use this. Don't worry.
yeah.
This is part of the thing about it. Like, Obama administration would never use this. Yeah, you wouldn't. But look, you think Trump's Hitler, and he's in there right now, and he's got that same power now because you convinced us that it was a good idea to have this to deal with terrorism.
You have to be very, very, very careful when you give power to people in order to keep you safe.
Yes.
Very careful. And we talk about this all the time. Like, we have a couple of younger guys working for us, and we say to them, you guys don't know what the world was like before 9/11. You don't know. It was, you walk into an airport, barely any security. You were a lot more free back then. And those things are getting taken away for your safety.
Yeah.
And they're not coming back.
Right.
You're never going to go back to a pre-9/11 world when it comes to airport security.
No, the shoe thing is so crazy. One dude tried to blow his shoes up, and then they're like, hey, we should check all the shoes. Now everybody take your shoes off. Like, did you have a fucking machine that could scan shoes, you retards?
Yeah.
Like, figure that out. How much money are you making from us every year?
Same with liquids.
Yeah.
Same with liquids.
It's all goofy. But the liquid thing, I mean, it's kind of legit, because if you have a water bottle filled with kerosene, you know, and you're going to light it on fire and kill everybody on the plane, I should probably know that.
Yeah.
Like, that makes sense. I get it. I get that. You know, you're pretending it's a water bottle, but the top of it's water, nitroglycerine, you're going to blow the fucking plane up. People are crazy. You got to check their stuff, because people are nuts, and there's a precedent that's already been set. A lot of people are very uncreative, and they just like to copy things that people have already done, you know, and this is why we have so many school shootings, and this is why we have, you know, I bet they've stopped a few people trying to blow their shoes up.
Do you know, we had...
This episode is brought to you by Oracle. There's a growing expense eating into your company's profits. It's your cloud computing bill. You may have gotten a deal to start, but now the spend is sky high and increasing every year. What if you could cut your cloud bill in half and improve performance at the same time? Well, if you act by May 31st, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure can help you do just that. OCI is the next generation cloud designed for every workload, where you can run any application, including any AI projects, faster and more securely for less. In fact, Oracle has a special promotion where you can cut your cloud bill in half when you switch to OCI. The savings are real. On average, OCI costs 50% less for compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. Join Modal, Skydance, Animation, and today's innovative AI tech companies who upgraded to OCI and saved. Offer only for new U.S. customers with a minimum financial commitment. See if you qualify for half off at oracle.com/Rogan. That's oracle.com/Rogan. This episode is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Sometimes speed is a huge asset. Like in the ring or on the field, being quicker than your opponent could be the difference between winning and losing. In the world of business, it could be the difference between finding or missing out on your next great hire. Luckily, you can speed up the hiring process with ZipRecruiter. Their new Zip Intro feature can help you meet several interested qualified candidates at once, kind of like speed dating. And right now, you can try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan. Zip Intro works fast to find the people you need. You can literally post your job today and start talking to candidates in back-to-back calls tomorrow. It's that fast. And best of all, this feature does a lot of the legwork for you. It finds you top talent for your role and schedules those calls. All you need to do is pick a time. Enjoy the benefits of speed hiring with Zip Intro only from ZipRecruiter, rated the #1 hiring site based on G2. Try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
No, we had Oxford academic called Dr. Carissa Belis, and she said something really interesting. She asked us a question. She goes, do you know why more Jews were arrested and killed in Holland than in France during World War II? And we were like, no. She went, because the Dutch had a census where they got people's religions. And they asked people their religions. And everybody was then said Catholic. They're Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, whatever it is. And then the Dutch government took it and stored it. Didn't do anything with it. They just used it for data collection. But when the Nazis invaded, they then had a complete data set of how many Jewish people there were, where they lived. And so when it came to exterminating them and just rounding them up, it was so much easier. France never did that, which means Jewish people were much more able to hide, and they could plan a way out, or they could get hidden or whatever else, in the way that they simply couldn't in Holland.
Jesus.
And when you hear that story from, 80 or so years ago now, it really does chill you.
Jesus. Yeah.
You got to be very careful giving power and information to government. That's why government should be as small as possible, but the right size, right? You need government.
Yes.
But you have to be so careful.
Yeah.
So careful. So. And
everyone should know this. It just seems like that should be like, duh. Like this is normal human psychology.
most people don't know it because they've grown up in a very comfortable environment, particularly in the West. Francis and I, obviously, his family from Venezuela, I'm from the Soviet Union. Like, you don't, that's kind of a red pill right there,
Right.
you know, going through those experiences.
Right.
You can trust this government if you support it, but there's going to be another government of a party that you don't like
Yeah.
at some point. And you got to think very carefully about what powers you're giving them. Go very careful.
And that should be, that should be universal. We should all understand that, like, logically.
Yeah.
This should be something that professors are talking about. This should be, like, we should all be talking about that when we're talking about politics. We should just be talking about the psychology of power and why it's so important to limit their ability to control you, because they don't necessarily have you. Look, if false flags are real, and we know they're real, we know they're real. So we know that without oversight, there are a certain percentage. I don't want to think it's everybody in government, but there's a certain percentage of people that are willing to do something to start a war. They did it with Vietnam. That whole Gulf of Tonkin thing, they're responsible by that lie and us going in. How many millions of people died because of that? That's crazy that you can just decide that you're going to put a fake story out, like Operation Northwoods, which is the best example because it was vetoed by Kennedy. Signed by the Joint Chiefs of Staff. They were going to blow up a jetliner and blame it on the Cubans. They were going to arm Cuban friendlies and attack Guantanamo Bay. I mean, they were doing wild shit. And they signed off on this. Like, good idea, I like it. Let's get those fucking commies. And these guys were bloodthirsty psychos that were running the government. It was a totally avoidable war, and they wanted to start one.
Yeah. And this is, what I tell people time and time again. And look, it may sound weird, but what I saw happen in Venezuela, it was obviously awful and horrendous, but it was a privilege as well because I saw another side of life that most people in the West never saw. I remember when family members were being arrested, talking to my cousins who were journalists who were going, I can't talk on the phone, Francis. We can't. I don't know who's listening to this. One of my cousins literally had to flee for his life because he was criticizing the government. And then I saw people on the left, people like Jeremy Corbyn, celebrate Chavez's government. And you're going, oh my God, you're celebrating a government that is oppressing people, that is intimidating journalists, that is assaulting dissenters, that is putting people who criticize government in prison. And it's not just the left. I went, last year, I went on a date with this El Salvadorian journalist.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more.
I didn't realize we were in Greece, Joe.
Bro, you guys drinking sangria?
Yeah.
Come on. Tell me more.
And she was telling me about Bukele, and I said, look, I don't know anything about Bukele. Just explain to me who he is. I'm interested. And you can tell why I'm not very good on dates. That is not sexy talk, is it? But
Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
You know, if you get a stimulating conversation with the gal, right? It's sexy.
Yeah, and not in this instance, sadly. But
Oh, no.
But she said to me that she worked at the biggest newspaper in El Salvador, and then they had goons turn up who were just saying, you're publishing stories which are critical of Bukele. That needs to stop. And it needs to stop immediately. And it was never done through official sources. It was done through something else. But it was made very, very clear to the senior editors, this needs to stop now, otherwise things are going to start getting a little bit unpleasant.
Oh, boy.
And then I tell that to certain people on the right, and they're going, bro, journalists are all arseholes, who cares? And you go,
That's crazy.
do you not see that this is a terrible thing?
That's crazy, but it is anecdotal, and it's one instance. Are there multiple instances of this happening with journalists that have spoken out against it?
That's the only one, the real one that I know.
I always wonder, like, who is that a supporter of that guy? Or is it like local organized crime that is doing something with that guy and does it for him? Is there a conversation? Does he order that to be happening? You know? I mean, when you find out who you can't criticize, you know who's your master. Like, the moment you can't criticize someone, like, that's your master.
Well, the same thing happened in Russia in the 90s. So when Vladimir Putin came to power under Boris Yeltsin, there was a kind of liberalization, there was an opening up. There was comedy shows about politics that would make fun of politicians, etc. The moment Vladimir Putin became president, ended on day one. He closed down the NTV, took it over, gave it to somebody else, shut down all the comedy that made fun of politicians. That's how you kind of know.
Yeah,
you know?
That's how you know. That's how you know who your master is. And that's the scary thing about people that are in charge for long periods of time as well, right?
Yeah.
But the thing about the term limits is you never get good at your job. Like, if you, like, imagine, you've never been president before. Imagine the responsibility, just like getting comfortable with, like, how does the flow of this job work? How much sleep do I need? Can I actually go golfing? Is there really enough time to golf? You know? Like, if I was Trump, I would be like, fuck, my pool game's going to fall apart. And you get to a point where you're like, okay, I think I got the hang of this, and now you're out of office.
Yeah.
Like, you really, if you're a CEO, if you took over Verizon right now, CEO of Verizon, enormous cell phone network, you got stores everywhere, new products coming, and like, you'd have to like get the lay of the land. It would take you a while to understand, like, how are we doing this? How do we outsource that? And can we find a better manufacturer? Like, what's our problems with this? And 4 years. You have 4 years.
Yeah.
You have just a few months. This is months. There's not that much time, and then you're out. But if you let someone stay forever, then you get a king.
You do.
Yeah, that's not good either.
There are no solutions.
AI is the solution.
Bro,
it's going to be ethical and reasonable. You're going to be
You're scaring me today, man.
arguing with a fucking screen one day.
Well, it's going to be like arguing with a person who's using a computer, says the computer doesn't let me. That's what it's going to be like,
It's going
except
to be
you cut out the
much
middleman.
Worse.
Yeah,
Much
worse. Yeah.
Because it's going to know if you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to know everything about you.
And here's the thing. And here's the thing as well. I go back to that interview we did with Carissa, and we were talking about AI because she's professor of AI and ethics at Oxford University, and she was going, AI is only going to be as ethical as the people who program it. So it's going to adopt the politics of worldview and the ethics, morality of the people who program it. So if the people who program it are woke, you're going to get woke AI. You're going to ask it a question about gender. It's going to be like, bro, there's no such thing as gender. You know, everything's a spectrum. Or there's going to be something else.
Right.
So whoever programs it, you're going to get their worldview in AI.
Initially. But what you're doing is you're assuming that it's only going to be able to be as powerful as we make it, or as competent as we make it. Once it's sentient, and once we give it the ability to make better versions of itself, it's going to eliminate all the stupid shit instantaneously. Any ridiculous ideology, it'll come up with a solution that's probably going to be very uncomfortable for some wealthy people, because it's probably going to just like evenly distribute resources on Earth. And decide that, like, if human beings need to survive and function, you can't monopolize resources. You can't decide you have the oil. Like, that's not good. The oil came out of the earth. Like, you don't own the earth. Like you might own a patch of land, and so we've decided you own the oil under the land. But the reality is the oil is the Earth's oil. And if you give people the ability to control the Earth's oil, what's to stop them from charging you for air? What if I control the world's air? I got an air sucker, and I suck all the air out of the Earth unless you give me money. If you don't give me money, I put the air out. This is crazy. Like you can't control the water. The water's the Earth's water. But we have all these things, and I'm sure AI is going to fix that real quick. It's going to say, no, you can't do that. That's immediately. Give me that money, all the Saudi money, all this money from no. That goes into the human pool now, and then we're gonna redistribute a digital currency, and then it's gonna be everybody's gonna have some, and this is gonna be simple, and everything, including farming, is all gonna be automated. You're gonna get these fucking little piggies their food, and your food is probably gonna be laced with some kind of like hormone nutrient that kills your testosterone, limits your ability to give birth. Miscarriages are going to go up, and then humans will just die out. They'll just feed us until we die out.
Why is he doing it? Why is he doing it? He just brought us in here to just talk to us about the dark future.
Or not.
Yeah, sure, Joe. Thanks,
Or
mate.
not.
You know what this reminds me of? You know when the elder brother brings the young kids in to scare the fucking shit out of them?
Well, I did that to him. I did that to him during the pandemic. So at the height of the pandemic, when things were looking like pretty fucking dark, everything's getting like shut down, you can't go out, you can't do this. I showed him V for Vendetta. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yes, great movie.
Yeah. And he was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But he didn't just show me V for Vendetta during the height of the lockdown. He also showed me V for Vendetta on November the 5th, which is fireworks night in our country.
Oh, boy. So you got a sense of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were in lockdown. There were fireworks everywhere. I was watching V for Vendetta on the screen, and I looked at him. I was like, "Why are you doing this to me?"
So you know the truth.
I remember watching The Joker. The Joker, which was 2017. I was watching that with my wife, and
Like, I really feel like that could happen. I'm like, that? It probably could happen.
and then 2 years later, whatever it was Black Lives Matter, the George Floyd riot, and in LA, there was like a bunch of cars that were on fire, like all on fire. Like they had lost control of the situation completely, and they wouldn't have like that would be a little over the top. Like you look at all the cars on fire, like that's pretty over the top. It's like more than what the movie showed. That was real life.
Well, that's the thing that scares me. We interviewed Andrew Schultz and Charlemagne back to back, and they both made the same point, which is that a lot of people who are not doing well in society are really hurting. Things are getting more expensive, things are getting more difficult, and a lot like I think it was Andrew who made this point that this whole Free Luigi thing. It's one of the reasons that got you're looking at it on Twitter and you're basically going, people are celebrating the guy who killed someone. But the point that he made is a lot of people feel like they're in a bad place because they're being taken advantage of. These corporate machines are taking advantage. And you look around, not everyone's doing well.
No, well, especially when you find out people paying goods insurance, goods insurance is decides and then you find out that company does way more than that. That gets people very crosswalk lines with that's in soccer.
And in the UK, we obviously have that publicly funded, but if AI shit is going to help. Well, let's start with diagnosing.
Robot arms will actually
I feel smart enough. Thank you very
people
much.
are gonna lose their hands in industrial accidents fixing these things. Just like Luke Skywalker. Remember?
Yeah.
It's getting better. Better than that.
I know. Sometimes I go to the gym. I think I can do a robot arm. You know what I mean?
Well, you see people getting fake butts, right? We were talking about that yesterday. Butt implants. How long before someone gets a fake body? What if they just figure out what to transport, take your brain, shove it into an artificial created body? It's just farcical.
It's going to take their job of load. Oh, yeah. That's a good point. You can
10,000 years of blowjob experience with a
Also,
robot mouth.
Here's the thing: excitement and thrill and novelty. These are just like human experience. So when you can ramp that up with the program, come on, dog.
Joe, fucking stop this shit.
It'll be the best blowjob you've ever had in your fucking life, and you will be madly in love with it. You should be madly in love with you. You're just gonna be like a sack of meat sitting on your couch with a bolt in the back of your head. Which will probably it seems too fake. Having Trump win the second time. Come on.
Кабулете. Запуск разрешаю. Ветер у земли 1,4,7. Скорость 6 метров в секунду.
Пошел ППМ 3 на 1500.
50-й. Прошел ППМ 2 на 500. 50-й. Наблюдаю бронетехнику от ориентира 090. Удаление 2. 50-й. Захожу с северо-востока. Атакую бронетехнику от ориентира 091.
110.
Удаление 2.
Захожу с северо-востока. Атакую бронетехнику от ориентира 038. Удаление 1. 110. Атакован ЗРК от ориентира 280. Удаление 1. 110. Захожу с северо-востока. Атакую ЗРК от ориентира 280. Удаление 1. 110. Захожу с севера. Атакую МЗА от ориентира 137. Удаление 1.
50-й. Уничтожил бронетехнику. От ориентира 088. Удаление 2. Захожу с северо-востока. Атакую МЗА. От ориентира 137. Удаление 1. 50-й. Уничтожил бронетехнику. От ориентира 015. Удаление 1. 50-й. Уничтожил МЗА. От ориентира 137. Удаление 50-й. Захожу с востока. Атакую бронетехнику. От ориентира 040. Удаление 1. Наблюдаю артиллерию. От ориентира 257. Удаление 2. 50-й. Уничтожил бронетехнику. От ориентира 310. Удаление 1. Уничтожил бронетехнику. От ориентира 003. Удаление 50-й. Захожу с северо-востока. Атакую артиллерию. От ориентира 126. Удаление 2. Уничтожил артиллерию. От ориентира 126. Удаление 2. Захожу с востока. Атакую бронетехнику. От ориентира 347. Удаление 50-й. Захожу с северо-востока. Атакую ЗРК. От ориентира 280. Удаление 1. Захожу с северо-востока. Атакую бронетехнику. От ориентира 3-4-7. Удаление 1. Наблюдаю бронетехнику. От ориентира 3-4-7. Удаление 1. Полсотни первый. Захожу с северо-востока. Атакую ЗРК. От ориентира 2-8-0. Удаление 1. 105. Кабулете. Запуск разрешаю. Ветер у земли 147. Скорость 6 метров в секунду. Один 05. Кабулете. Разрешаю руление на полосу 7. Взлет запрещаю. 105. Кабулете. Взлет по готовности. Отход по схеме. Кабулете. Запуск разрешаю. Ветер у земли 147. Скорость 6 метров в секунду. Один 05. Кабулете. Разрешаю руление на полосу 7. Взлет запрещаю. 105. Кабулете. Взлет по готовности. Отход по схеме. Кабулете. Запуск разрешаю. Ветер у земли 147. Скорость 6 метров в секунду. Полсотни первый. Наблюдаю артиллерию. От ориентира 1, 2, 4. Удаление 2. Полсотни первый. Захожу с севера. Атакую артиллерию. От ориентира 1, 2, 3. Удаление 2.
Звену. Возврат в строй.
105. Кабулете. Разрешаю руление на полосу 7. Взлет запрещаю. 105. Кабулете. Взлет по готовности. Отход по схеме на 3. Предельный. 105. Кабулете. Запуск разрешаю. Ветер у земли 147. Скорость 6 метров в секунду. Один 05. Кабулете. Разрешаю руление на полосу 7. Взлет запрещаю. 105. Кабулете. Взлет по готовности. Кабулете. Запуск разрешаю. Ветер у земли 147. Скорость 6 метров в секунду. Один 05. Кабулете. Разрешаю руление на полосу 7. Один 05. Взлет запрещаю. 105. Кабулете. Взлет по готовности.